What's up, guys? The Snowman here. Very excited to do another 2022 World Cup preview. Today we'll be focusing on the 4 teams in Group D. Make sure to check out my other group previews as well. By the time the World Cup rolls around, I'll have done all 8 groups. Subscribe to Snowman Sports Media for more World Cup and soccer and football content. But otherwise, let's analyze these 4 Group D nations, talk about qualification, star players, coaches, and my expectations. And all 4 of these teams repeat participants from the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Of course, that was a tournament that saw France triumph over every other country. Joining the French in Group D are the Intercontinental playoff winners, Australia. We also have Denmark ready to do some damage, as well as Tunisia. Let's kick things off by analyzing the defending world champions, France. They were unimpressive at times throughout European qualifying, a couple of home draws to the likes of Ukraine and Bosnia-Herzegovina, but at the end of the day, they'll take an undefeated campaign and a 16th appearance at the World Cup finals. 18 goals scored, just 3 goals given up. France has a lineup top to bottom that's just dripping with depth and talent all over the pitch. Their attacking trio of Griezmann, Mbappe, and Benzema led the way in terms of goal scoring during qualification. All 3 forwards scoring in the same game in Paris on the penultimate match day, an 8-0 annihilation of Kazakhstan, which sent France to Qatar. For star players, we've really got 10 or 12 guys we could be spotlighting: Mbappe, Kanté, Pogba, Kimpembe. The list goes on and on, but I want to highlight the striker up top, Karim Benzema. Benzema, now 34 years old, hasn't always been in good standing with the national team, missing out on Euro 2016 and the past World Cup in Russia, but he's been on unstoppable goal-scoring form the last year plus, just absolutely unconscious. 4 goals at Euro 2020 last summer, winning the bronze boot there. Then last season at Real Madrid, La Liga's leading scorer, 27 goals in 32 league matches, an incredible 15 Champions League goals to lead Madrid to their 14th UCL title. Benzema, one of the best, if not the best, finishing number 9 in the world right now. Managing France is the former midfielder Didier Deschamps. The 54-year-old has experienced unparalleled success as both a player and a manager. 2 World Cup titles. He's won the Euros, the Champions League, the UEFA Nations League, and fun fact, Deschamps is by far the longest tenured manager at this World Cup. He's been the French coach since July 2012, so over 10 years in his current post. He'll be relying on every bit of that experience to help steer this roster he knows so well back to the World Cup final. And speaking of which, only twice have we ever seen a repeat World Cup champ. That was Italy back in the 1930s, and then Brazil in the late 50s, early 60s. Otherwise, going back-to-back has been nearly impossible, even for recent great champions. The last 3 World Cup winners, Italy in 06, Spain 2010, and Germany in 2014, all 3 of those teams got knocked out in the group stage at the following World Cup, so France is going to be fighting against some ugly recent trends. They do have the second best odds of winning the whole thing, though, in Qatar. They're a minus 250 favorite to win this Group D. Slight concerns with their form in the UEFA Nations League this season. France losing to Croatia and fellow Group D foe Denmark in June. Make no mistake, though, the expectation for France is repeat or bust. One of the major obstacles standing in the way of Les Bleus is Denmark. The Danes were incredibly efficient in qualifying, 9 wins, just 1 defeat to Scotland in their final game when the group had already been clinched, but 30 goals scored, some big blowouts along the way. A fabulous result against Austria, 4-0. Denmark has developed into a tactically organized and progressive side. I'm excited. They're slated to play France in the UEFA Nations League in September. That match should give us some answers and be a tasty appetizer for their upcoming meeting in Qatar. But the Danes did defeat France back in June. They'll be riding high coming into this World Cup, inspiring recent form. The 2 leaders for Denmark are the goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel and the attacking midfielder Christian Eriksen. However, maybe their best overall player is the do-it-all midfielder Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, entering the prime of his career at age 27 and his 3rd season at Tottenham. Højbjerg does a little bit of everything: excellent pace and transition, a player with superb energy and closing speed, great passing ability both at close range and switching play, and then his overall quality as a defensive midfielder, consistently breaking up play by making tackles and interceptions. Højbjerg will be a key engine for the Danish. In charge of Denmark is 50-year-old Kasper Hjulmand, a former defender who played domestic specifically in Denmark, got the job in 2020 and has a really solid record with the national side so far. A very nice win percentage of 69%. Coached the Danes to a fantastic finish at Euro 2020 last year. They played some sublime football, beating Wales in the round of 16, Czech Republic in the quarterfinals, but a controversial penalty against England sunk them in extra time of the semifinals. Nonetheless, Hjulmand, the right man for the job moving forward, and really tough to put a cap on the expectations for Denmark this winter because the sum is so often greater than the individual parts. They've got a ferocious team spirit. We saw that on full display at the Euros. Once Christian Eriksen went down, everybody galvanized around that and played inspired football. I think they have a decent chance at upending France for top spot in Group D, but either way, they should be thinking knockout stage. On paper, they're probably around a 16 team going strictly off talent, but you never know if they catch lightning in a bottle again and write another fairy tale story. With Eriksen back, they've got an outside chance probably at the quarterfinals. The third team in Group D is Tunisia, back for their 6th World Cup appearance. They just barely won their CAF second round group, only clinching it on the final match day. That's because a defeat to Equatorial Guinea had Tunisia level with them on points heading into the final game. Luckily, Tunisia showed out with a strong first half against Zambia, 3-1 winners, and clinched the group win. Then they were on to the African playoffs. Mali, the opponent, a team who hadn't conceded any goals during the group stage, but Tunisia advancing over the two legs with a 1-0 advantage. A tight defensive contest from the two teams who gave up the least amount of goals in African qualifying. Tunisia, one of the most sound defensive teams at these World Cup finals, and trying to provide the spark in the attacking half for the Eagles of Carthage will be their captain, Youssef Msakni. This is a guy who I'm excited to see on the biggest stage. The 31-year-old has never appeared at the World Cup for Tunisia, too young back in 2006, and he had a serious knee injury just weeks before the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Msakni is the unequivocal leader of this squad, has showed up big time in the past, scoring a hat trick to help them qualify for that 2018 World Cup. Also a calming force leading up to this year's World Cup, especially without the injured vice captain Wabi Kazri. Msakni's physical ability may be on the decline, but his energy and intangibles will be felt on the wing and throughout the entire pitch this winter. And Tunisia's coach is 50-year-old Jalil Kadri. He's been all over the map in terms of coaching experience, never seems to stay in one place for too long. By my count, he's managed over 20 different clubs in his career. Just newly appointed as Tunisia's head man in January of 2022, helped them qualify for the World Cup, was also an assistant with the national team as they made the quarterfinals of the most recent African Cup of Nations. My expectations for Tunisia, unlike some of the other underdogs we've talked about in other group previews so far, Iran in Group B, Saudi Arabia in Group C, I feel like Tunisia has a better chance of walling up and playing decent defense in this group. They currently have 5 clean sheets in their last 5 games. I just don't know where the goals are going to come from. If they make it out of this group, it'll be a massive accomplishment. Only twice have they even won a single game at the World Cup, once in 2018 and once in 1978. I guess if they beat Australia, somehow drew Denmark, and then probably lost to France, that would be the formula to maybe finish in second place, but the odds are stacked against them unless their offense explodes in creative and free-flowing ways that we haven't seen before. Finally, let's talk about the Socceroos and their arduous journey back to the World Cup finals. Bear with me as we recap Australia's qualification. These two tables are from the second and third rounds of Asian qualifying. Round 2 was a breeze for Australia, 8-0, but things got tricky in round 3. The Aussies limped to the finish with just 1 point in their last 3 games to come in third place. That took them to the Asian playoff against the UAE, victorious 2-1. And finally, that win sent them into the Intercontinental playoff in Qatar versus Peru. And most analysts thinking the South Americans would come out on top, but a scoreless game through 120 minutes. Australia subbed in their backup goalkeeper Andrew Redmayne for the penalty shootout, which ended up paying off. So the Aussies win it dramatically 5-4 to escape on by to their 5th consecutive World Cup. Not really a standout star for Australia like they've had in the past with guys like Tim Cahill and Mark Schwarzer. It's more of an ensemble cast than one man in a leading role, but one key player to keep your eyes peeled out for is striker Jamie McLaren. He's most notably a 4-time Golden Boot winner in the top Australian league. That includes each of the last 3 seasons. A very informed goal scorer, scored 7 goals during World Cup qualifying. McLaren currently plays for Melbourne City. He's a forward who tends to stay very high up the pitch, excellent with positioning, positioning and making runs around center backs, kind of an old school number 9 who does most of his damage inside the 6-yard box. Graham Arnold has been the manager of the Australian senior team since 2018, taking over for Bert van Marwijk after that World Cup. Arnold also coached the U23 team at the same time up until last year. A 59-year-old former player with a wealth of experience coaching Australia as an assistant. Unfortunately, he didn't have a great debut tournament at the 2019 Asian Cup when Australia crashed out in the quarterfinals. This will be Arnold's third World Cup as an assistant or head coach for his country. And looking at expectations for Australia, I do see them as the 4th best team in Group D, just not a lot of world-class talent. In fact, I don't even think I'd rank them ahead of France's B team. The Aussies have a couple of tune-up matches against New Zealand in September. Overall, I think Australia comes in 4th place. The Europeans in this group just too classy. Maybe in the most ideal world, Australia can make it to the knockout round, but absolutely no further than the round of 16. It's probably more than likely that they will fizzle out in the group stage for a 4th straight World Cup. Thanks a lot for watching my Group D preview. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this group, who you think will win it. Be on the lookout for my other World Cup content as well, especially my predictions as we get closer to the World Cup. But thanks a lot. I'll see you soon. Cheers.